Greetings, friends. I'm Jimmy Overton, your fellow film fan and ambassador host of Monday at the Movies, a weekly series of classic films presented at the historic Wayne Theater Ross Performing Arts Center right here in Waynesboro, Virginia. While the theater remains temporarily closed due to government restrictions on social gathering, we invite you to stay in touch with us, and we'd like to stay in touch with you via hashtag at home with the Wayne. Hashtag at home with the Wayne. That can be reached either directly with that link or by visiting the Historic Wayne Theater's website or Facebook page. You'll find my weekly introductions to the films that have been preempted by all this, along with some additional very entertaining posts from other talented people that are associates of the Wayne Theater. So please do so. While the quarantine has been in place, many of our Monday night film fans and patrons have been following the preempted films from the safety of their homes. It's a great idea. I've been doing it along with you. All of the movies can be accessed by Amazon Prime, Netflix, Vudu movies in one format or another. So by all means, from week to week, let's watch the films that we would have enjoyed on the big screen at home on the small screen. Make a few notes and we'll have a little cinema chat and share our thoughts when all this is over on the other end. Over the years that we've done Monday at the Movies, from time to time, film fans and patrons of Monday Night have suggested and requested that once in a while let's put up a movie that's just purely movie entertainment. In other words, a movie you don't have to think about too deeply. Just sit back and enjoy the ride just as an entertainment type of experience. Great idea. I love movies like that too. So we've presented several over the years. The Court Jester with Danny Kaye, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, Duck Soup. There's been a number of films, Road to Morocco, that really didn't challenge us intellectually too deeply, but were very, very fun and indeed therapeutic to see a film like that from time to time. Well, we've got a film for you that was scheduled for Monday, May the 18th, that kind of can be enjoyed in that same manner. It's a movie that today we would definitely call an action film. When the film was released in theaters across America and around the world in 1967, the action film was a relatively new type term for films. It would have been thought of as an adventure thriller or something like that. But definitely this is a forerunner of what we think of today as the action film. Once again, from 1967, directed by Robert Aldrich, The Dirty Dozen. The screenplay is by the very talented and successful and prolific Nunnally Johnson. In fact, this was his last screenplay of his career, a long and very successful career. So he's got some really, really talented people associated with this motion picture. The cast is interesting and all across the board. Lee Marvin, Ernest Borgnine, Charles Bronson, NFL Hall of Fame running back for the Cleveland Browns, Jim Brown, made his acting debut in this film. More about him in just a moment, but he went on to become a very successful and prolific actor. John Cassavetes was also nominated for an Academy Award for his performance in this film. Richard Jackal, George Kennedy, Trini Lopez, singer, guitarist Trini Lopez, Ralph Meeker, Robert Ryan, Telly Savalas, Donald Sutherland, a small but very important role, which caught the eye of another filmmaker, Robert Altman, and led directly to Donald Sutherland being cast in his first big breakthrough as a leading role, as in his leading man, in MASH. Clint Walker, the list goes on and on. In fact, it would probably be easier to name the male stars of that era that were not in this film as opposed to trying to run down the cast this way. Production of the film was undertaken in England in 1966 and ran over schedule. There were some holdups with weather and things like that, so it ran beyond its filming production schedule. So much so that Jim Brown, who, as we noted earlier, was the greatest running back of the era and one of the greatest to ever play the game in the National Football League, that was in danger of missing training camp and the beginning of the football season. And so there were complaints from the ownership of the Cleveland Browns to the NFL, and he was contacted several times urging him, demanding him to come back to America to get to training camp so that he could begin playing the season that year. And his response always was, look, this is a big break for me. I might be able to be an actor here, and I have to wait till this is over. So the exchanges became more heated, and finally he received a registered letter saying, if you're not back in America by next week to show up, present yourself at training camp, and be ready to play, we're going to fine you a very, very hefty amount of money. So Jim Brown called a press conference the next day and retired from football. So there you go. You don't want to push your luck. You don't want to push a guy around like that too much. And he went on to become very, very talented, very successful actor. He's considered one of the greatest who ever played the game. He later recalled, this is Jim Brown once again, I loved my part. I was one of the dirty dozen, a quiet leader and my own man, at a time when Hollywood wasn't giving those type of roles to blacks. I've never had more fun making the movie. The male cast was incredible. I worked with some of the strongest, craziest guys in the business. That must have been an understatement, because here's another little anecdote connected to the film. During production, everybody retired to a lounge, restaurant, bar in London for dinner and cocktails. And as Lee Marvin was sitting at the bar with the film's producer, Kenneth Hyman, this little old lady, little gray-haired lady, senior lady, came walking by. And Lee Marvin, who was extremely intoxicated at the time, propositioned her in a most vulgar and direct manner. And the little lady stopped and said, excuse me, sir, what did you say? I didn't quite hear you. And he repeated it again and had a big laugh about it. So the little lady went back to her table where she was dining with her son, Sean Connery, and related to him what this fellow at the bar had said. And Sean Connery immediately put his napkin down, got up, heading towards Lee Marvin's stool at the bar. And director Kenneth Hyman saw what was about to happen and intervened and caught Sean halfway across the room and said, Sean, don't hit him in the face. Don't hit him in the face, please. He has close-ups tomorrow. At this point, Sean Connery cracked up and just said forget about it and went back to his table with his mother. Do not raise the ire of a hot-blooded Scotsman. Robert Aldrich, the director of the film, was attracted to the story's action elements and the irony that all of the heroes of the film were actually criminals. I don't want to tip the story for you, but it's a real interesting scenario. Lee Marvin had, in spite of some of his foolishness, had high praise for all the men in the film, commenting that everyone was ideally cast. And even when scenes were being ad-libbed, which happens quite a bit in the film apparently, everyone stayed in character and really made a solid contribution to this being a great, great movie. It was MGM's biggest money-making film at the box office in 1967. So if you enjoy a thrilling movie, a little action movie, and get on the ride, and by all means this Monday, watch The Dirty Dozen from 1967. And until we meet again, my friends, this is your film fan and ambassador host of Monday at the Movies, Jimmy Overton, saying, make it a double feature. Take care and thank you.